I will say this: I'm not fighting, for the PFL. If I have to wait out a year to be free and clear, then I'll do it. Honestly, I'm fine. Money's good, but this is what I love to do. Thank God I have good investments and everything is going well, and I just want to fight. This is what I was born. When I was wrestling at 4 years old, I was pretty much a baby and wrestled, and then I boxed, and this is what I've always wanted to do. And I just want to show people I'm the best fighter in the world. And whatever I got to do, I know Ali and all of them will take care of it. But like I said, if I got to sit out for a year, then hey, then I'll keep training, riding my horses, and being a dad.
He is inarguably the top free agent in all of mixed martial arts right now, but is he actually a free agent? We'll talk a lot about that today. It is always my pleasure to speak with Aaron Pico. Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. It's always a great pleasure to speak with you. And I realize because we talk, a lot before all your fights and a lot of times after your fights, it has literally been almost exactly 1 year since we saw you fight in Saudi Arabia last year. And funny enough, we were just mentioning off air, your coach, Brandon Gibson. I'd interviewed Brandon in October before John's fight with Stipe. And before we left the interview, I said, hey, what's going on with Aaron? Like, I haven't heard anything in a while. And he's like, well, we're training him for Pitbull, but we just don't know when or how it's going to happen. So can you give me like what this last year has been like for you?
Yeah, it's on the business side, like as far as my career, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but my personal life has been really, really good. I've had time to really spend with my family, do some traveling, be there with my son. Cause he's involved in his BMX and starting to wrestle a little bit. So it's been good. I've had some time to let my body heal up, but, on the fighting side, it's been a little bit crazy. We're just kind of dealt with the situation and we're looking to fix it. But I was supposed to fight Pitbull in September in California. That's what Donn had told me in Saudi Arabia. He said, that's yours and you've earned that. So I got ready for the fight. As it got closer, I didn't hear anything. And then they said that the fight was off. They wanted me to fight in Saudi Arabia on the Francis Ngannou card against Jesus Pinedo. And of course I said yes. So we started planning for Jesus. And then a couple of weeks after that, they called and said that I was going to fight Jeremy Kennedy. Of course, it's yes. And then they said that was off. They wanted me to fight Patricio Pitbull on the Japan card on New Year's. And then a couple of weeks before that, they said the fight was off. So it was. It's just been 3 canceled fights, and it's just very, very unfortunate because you don't get paid for training camps. You put in long weeks and hours, and you don't get a paycheck. And of course, there's a lot that goes into it. But my contract is at an end. I just want to let people know that I signed a 7-fight deal, 30 months, and it's expired, and they only gave me 5 fights. So in my eyes, and I believe it's a breach of contract. But I just don't want to go down that road and go to court and get held up in that. I think the most simple way is to just give me my full release without the matching clause and let me go.
Absolutely. How tough is it? Because you're literally in the prime of your career right now. I mean, you've been the best you've ever been. When you look at what you did to Henry Corrales, what you did your last 3 fights in a row, you've been the best you've ever been. You're literally entering the prime of your career now, 28 years old. I mean, you're right there. How tough is it to go through that, to come off a big win? You get to avenge a loss, which I know that wasn't your original opponent, but it did end up being a fight you could avenge a loss. You go out there, beat Henry Corrales, you're promised Pitbull. That doesn't happen. Then you have 2 other random fights. And like I said, I had heard very, very, very good people told me, like, New Year's Eve, Japan, you and Pitbull. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And then like 2 weeks later, I heard, well, it's not happening. Like, how fun is it to have all that and you still haven't fought?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's 1 year wasted, especially I'm healthy. I don't have any injuries and I was ready to fight. Like I said, your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea what is going on. That's been my frustration for the past year. You know me, I will always fight whoever, and we're in this situation. So
I know that trust is a big part of this business, whether we like to talk about it. I mean, just like, you trust your manager. You have a great manager, Ali Abdelaziz. He works with a lot of people, and you have to have trust in that, just like you have trust in your coaches, like Brandon Gibson. That's the reason why you're so close. There's trust there. from my understanding and from what I've seen, I know you talked about this a little bit publicly recently, is, obviously Donn told you on the flight home you were delayed. You get the flight home from Saudi Arabia. He's like, what do you want? Good, we'll give it to you. And then that doesn't happen. Then suddenly you're fighting Jesus Pineda. But again, you're like, I just want to fight. Jeremy,
Yeah.
okay, there's a chance to finish some unfinished business. Okay, fine. Then it's Pitbull. Yeah. Is there any part of you that feels, I hate to use the word, but I mean, do you feel misled? Do you feel like you've been lied to a little bit with just these constant, we understand injuries. Like if that happens, like you're going to fight Pitbull, he gets injured, that's the sport, right? But do you feel like in any way you've been misled by these constant changes and opponents and all this kind of stuff?
Well, for sure. It's just like you just don't know what's going on. I really don't. That's all I really have to say. But I came from Scott Coker era. Scott Coker, Mike Hogan, and Rich Chow. They always treated me very, very well. And they always, if I was healthy and I wanted to fight, it was booked. They always stayed true to their word. But now Scott Coker and Rich Chow, and I think Mike Hogan is still part of PFL. But this has nothing to do really with him. It has to do with Donn Davis. So yeah, it was a little bit, sketchy, to be honest with you. That's the only way that I can put it. But if it was Scott Coker, I was on track to get my 7 fights in, but like I said, I believe they're in a breach of contract. I was only given 5 fights in the 30 months. I mean, they got PFL knew what they were doing. They bought the contracts they bought Bellator and, I don't know all the details with that, but they knew what they were getting into, but they got to make sure, we're fighting. That's how we, provide. I really feel bad for like the Patchy Mixes, the Johnny Eblins and stuff like that, because they're champions and they're locked up. I don't know their contract situations. I can't speak on behalf of them, but they seem like they're a little bit frustrated. And then, hey, listen, I did my time. I did everything that was asked of me. And it's not like I just signed a contract and now I'm asking, okay, I want out. No, I did what a man does. I honored it. And I still had, like I said, 2 fights left on my contract. And I told them, hey, listen, I told Ali, let me get my fights in and we'll do what we have to do. But they were booked 3 times and canceled on me 3 times. So that's beyond my control. Like I said, I don't want to go to court. I don't want to have to do that because I feel that it's a breach of contract. And let's just do it the easy way and just say, hey, let me be a true free agent.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and put it on the front street. So the way this works is you are out of contract, you are a free agent, but they maintain what are called matching rights. And for anyone who doesn't know, matching rights, just like it's in the NFL or other sports, you could go to the UFC. Hunter Campbell, Dana White could sign you to a contract, pay you. I'm just throwing a number out there. They're going to pay you $250,000 a fight. PFL then maintains the right to match that. They offer you the same contract. You're basically beholden to re-sign with PFL. That's the way matching rights work. Now, you've been very clear. You want to be free and clear. Now, right before we spoke, Donn Davis had reacted to some of this. So I'll read you exactly what Donn Davis wrote, and then we'll react to this. He said, love Aaron Pico, rising star fighter and great person. To be clear, PFL is not holding him back. Pico is a free agent, can sign today with UFC, and then PFL can decide whether to match the offer. That is standard MMA contract Pico signed and how MMA industry works. Now, so basically what Donn is saying there is, we love you, but we're going to maintain those matching rights. I know you're just fresh on the air, but just kind of get your reaction.
The first time I heard it.
Yeah, that's what all this has been about, right? Like, because you're not actually free and clear.
No, so then basically what I'm saying is true. I'm not lying about anything. You know what I mean? Like I just want to just be free and go fight for the UFC. And it sounds like he's waiting to match it. So. Yeah, I don't know what to really say. I mean, but do you understand the position that I'm in? If you were me, would you be a little bit frustrated?
100%. This is similar to what happened years ago. I don't know if you remember this years ago. It happened with Eddie Alvarez when he was in Bellator, the old Bellator before Scott Coker. He had signed with the UFC and they matched the offer. And he got stuck. He had to go back and fight for them again. Now he eventually left and ended up going to the UFC, but it took like 2 years. And if I remember Eddie correctly at the time, he had to spend a ton of money in legal fees just to battle this out. And again, that's what you're trying to avoid.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to get into. That's not my style. It's maybe I'm just like the old school way and just say, let's sit down at a kitchen table and figure this out. And I'll tell you how I feel. You tell me how you feel, because that's the way that I did business with Scott Coker. Honestly, Scott was a man, and he would say I would go to San Jose if I needed a meeting, and we had first time I signed with Ali, sat down with Scott Coker, and I wasn't in a good position in my career, and he gave it to me straight and said, "Listen, this is what you basically. Hey, we're behind you, but we need some wins," and everything was good. So, yeah, I don't know what to really say, but like I said, that's the situation that we're in.
I don't want to play conspiracy theory here, Aaron, but I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago. I think it was maybe it was in Saudi Arabia or it was Dubai. I can't remember where it was, but somebody had asked Dana White about you, and they said, "Do you have interest in Patricio Pitbull?" And he said, "I'm not really sure. Like we haven't really talked about that." And they said, "What about Aaron Pico?" And he said, "I know we're interested in him. Like I know the guys are interested in him." Is there any small part of the back of your brain saying that like that's maybe why you're not getting, like they released Pitbull free and clear, like he doesn't have matching rights, because that happened to him too. He had the matching rights and they said no, we'll let you completely go, and they released him free and clear. Is there any small party that feels like because the UFC has already openly expressed interest in you that this is almost like, I won't say revenge, but it's almost like we're not going to just let you go because now we know they want you? They didn't say that with Pitbull. I'm not saying Pitbull's not great. I'm saying Dana's like, I don't know. With you, he's like, I know we're interested in Aaron Pico.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't even really thought about that, but I will say this: I'm not fighting, for the PFL. If I have to wait out a year to be free and clear, then I'll do it. Honestly, I'm fine. Money's good, but this is what I love to do. Thank God I have good investments and everything is going well, and I just want to fight. This is what I was born, when I was wrestling at 4 years old. I was pretty much a baby and wrestled, and then I boxed, and this is what I've always wanted to do. And I just want to show people I'm the best fighter in the world. And whatever I got to do, I know Ali and all of them will take care of it. But like I said, if I got to sit out for a year, then, hey, then I'll keep training, riding my horses, and being a dad.
Yeah, so you fought your last fight for PFL belt. I know Bellator's gone now, so you fought your last fight, but you will not fight for them again.
No, I'll not fight for them again. But what's the plan? Honestly, let me ask you a question. What is the plan there? I know they had a tournament. They released the name. So what am I going to do? Just wait until the tournament is over? Like I said, I'm not here to badmouth the PFL or Donn Davis. That's not what I'm at. That's not what I'm here to do. Like I said, I want PFL to succeed. I have friends and that are in the PFL. I want them to do good and make money. I just don't want to be a part of the organization. It's as simple as that. Like I said before, I'm sure Donn Davis is a great guy, and but this is business, And 7 fights, I only had 5. Come on now.
Yeah. And obviously I think you're in a slightly different situation. I know Patchy very well, and I know Patchy's expressed his, kind of, upset that he's been sitting out for not quite a year, but for quite a while. But from my understanding, like he still has like a valid contract right now. But I know that when this whole situation with Pitbull came up, Don had came on on one of our shows and said, if you don't want to be here, we're gonna honor that. We're gonna let you go. Sometimes I don't want to misquote him, but that was more or less what he says. Like, we don't want people to be here if they don't want to be here. When Pitbull made that very public, Don came out and said, we're letting you go and we're not going to do the matching rights. So you don't want to be here. Now you're in a different situation because you actually are out of contract. You don't have like 3 fights in a year left. Like you're not trying to get them to release you from a valid contract. You are out of contract right now. Is it that much more upsetting that now he's publicly saying, hey, we maintain matching rights, and again, they could pass, but I mean, again, legally, if the UFC offers you a contract and they match it, you have to go back.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It just sounds like that ex-girlfriend that doesn't want to let you go. That's what it seems like, Just like, nope, you're gonna stay. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't. I wouldn't. For me, if I signed a contract and it was just really, really like it was just valid and I had to fight out my fights and I would stay, of course. You know what I mean? I signed a contract. I knew what I was getting myself into. But like I said, now I just it's done with, So yeah, I wish I can go on and on. I mean, I sound like a broken record, Like I don't know.
Well, And the scary part is obviously like where you're at, like, because again, Dana has already said like we're interested in Aaron Pico, which I'm sure makes you feel good. Because I mean, not a shock there. I think we all know like the UFC would
Sure.
absolutely be interested in you, but now it's almost like you're stuck in limbo because if they offer you a contract, then you're going back to the whole match. So like it's almost like you can't even really negotiate with the UFC. If you're being open and honest saying I don't want to go back to the PFL, you can't really get an offer from the UFC because then the whole match that's like the catch-22 in this whole thing, right? Like
Yeah, that's exactly everything you're saying is correct.
yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And listen, let's be honest, Aaron. Like we talked many times about this, and I have a ton of respect for Scott Coker and Mike Hogan, Rich Cow, those guys when you were there, and they obviously they signed you as a teenager and brought you in, and obviously I knew you had a lot of loyalty to them. But we always talked about like eventually going to the UFC. There was always that question. And when you look at featherweight and PFL right now, and you look at featherweight in the UFC, there's a lot of challenges for you in the UFC. You look at Ilia Topuria, you look at Alexander. You got to get excited about that, right? It's just a prospect of fighting that kind of guy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the biggest organization in the world, and I don't see anybody stopping them. To be honest with you, I mean it's just the highest level. Let's call it what it is. I'm sure there's other guys and organizations that can compete and win titles, but unless you're a UFC champion, you don't have the respect. I mean, why do you think Patricio Pitbull wants to go to the UFC so bad? And a lot of people want to do it because it is the best organization in the world. And you see the horsepower, you see the amount of work that they put in. Not to say other organizations don't, but I'm sure all those guys at the UFC work day in and day out, and that's who I want to fight for. I want to go and do my job. They do their job, and I think we can do really good business together.
Yeah, and like I said, you're literally in the prime of your career right now. Like we've talked many times about coming in early, having some hiccups, going and finding your new team, working with Brandon, learning from that, and now at 28, right? I'm getting that number right, 28.
Yeah, I'm 28.
Literally the prime of your career. This is the peak of your athletic career right now. Like these next 4 or 5 years are literally when you're at your absolute best, and this is when you want to fight. Like this is, and again, sadly, that's what's being wasted right now, right? Like you're literally wasting the prime of your career right now, just sitting on the sidelines.
It is, and I'm getting better. It's crazy to think about. I always think about like my first fight and where I was mentally, and the things that I knew, and then compared to now, it's like. It's so crazy to me. I even think like, how did I even fight? The skills that I'm acquiring now, and I'm still learning a lot. With all my coaches, and I'm like, I'm finally at the point mentally where I'm like, I will fight anybody on any given day. At 145 pounds, I truly believe I will beat anybody on the planet at 145 pounds, and that's really feels good mentally. Because back. A couple of years ago when I first started out, there's always, of course, I'll go and fight. I mean, I've always had that inside me. It's not, but there's always still a little bit of hesitation. Like, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. But ever since I've been around Brandon Gibson and Coach Greg, and I put in a lot of time and effort with them, I'm finally at the point in my life where I'm like, I will fight anybody at 145 pounds or anybody in the world. So now is the time to do it. I'm healthy. And that's a big thing in this game. I mean, I can get hurt, knock on wood at grappling practice tonight. You know what I mean? This is a crazy sport. And I want to be able to go and show the people that I can fight. Because that's ultimately who I want to see is the fans. The UFC fans haven't seen me yet. And I think that's a whole different ball game. So yeah. I'm excited. But I'm staying optimistic. I think everything is going to, take care of itself. And if I have to wait out a year, then I'll wait out a year. Like I said, I'll get really good at MMA, and I get really good at riding horses, getting better and being there for my son. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's so wild to think though. Like if you had just had those fights last year, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But that doesn't fall on you. You tried to fight, you wanted to fight, and they didn't get you. So again, that's the hard part about this is that. It's not like you sat out like waiting for this moment. You wanted to fight last year. You wanted to fight again. And I heard about these fights. I was like, oh, great. Aaron's coming back. Oh, Pitbull. That's great. Nothing happened. So now you're just stuck. Not only are you stuck, but you didn't even get to fight. Like, at least you would have got to fight. At least you'd have those paychecks and a couple more wins under your belt.
No, exactly. Well, then when you talk to Donn Davis and ask him why my 3 fights were canceled, ask him why was I not fighting in San Diego? I said it before. I said it yesterday. Usman Nurmagomedov was the main event. Is he bigger than me? Yeah, I think so. I for sure he is. He has a bigger following, and that's okay. It is what it is. I wasn't expecting to be the main event, but at least put me on the undercard. I even asked them, hey, can I fight? Not for a title. Didn't happen. So I don't know. Ask Donn, why was it canceled on me 3 times? That's a little bit sketch, to be honest with you. What's the reason for that? In California? Come on now, name everybody on the card. Can you name anybody on the undercard there?
I honestly, to be honest, I remember Chablis and Usman, and that's the only one I can remember. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but
no,
I'm not. I can really remember.
I'm not trying to be mean either.
Yeah,
Usman Nurmagomedov, and that was a great fight. I mean, that was awesome. Like I said, he's really well known. But anybody on the undercard, and Francis Ngannou, I mean, he's a legend, and I understand that. You know, they did what they had to do, and Johnny Eblen was on there, but I think it would have been a great addition for me to fight on the card there. Japan, it would have been great too. Needless to say, any card that I fight on is exciting, and I think you can vouch for that. So, yeah, it is what it is.
I'm certainly not picking sides here. That's not my job, Aaron, but I feel like I know you well enough. We've done enough of these interviews dating back to when you first signed with Bellator, and I'm a big wrestling guy, so I've followed your entire career. You're not that guy. You're not the guy to make public and say, I'm disgruntled, I'm upset, I'm angry. That's just not who you've ever been. You've never been that guy. And so I have to imagine where you're at right now. It is frustrating because for you to actually speak, like when I see you're saying these things, I'm like, oh, Aaron must be serious, because that's just not who you're not the guy to go to the public, go to the social media, and that's not who you've ever been. So I know it must be serious, because that's just not who you've ever been.
No, for sure. I don't expect you to pick sides. I don't, but I'm just giving you the facts. Like I said, it would be I'm just giving the whole world facts. I'm not like I said, I'm not the one to go and bitch. It is what it is. If I sign a contract and I need to fight, then I'm going to fight. But like I said, I've only had 5 fights in the contract. They didn't hold up their end of the bargain. And I feel my conscience is clear. I'm just telling the truth. I'm telling the facts. I didn't go early on 6 months in and say, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Hey, they're working out some things. I'm gonna fight. But then after 1 year, you're like, God damn, you know what I mean? What's going on? So,
yeah. Well, I always say this, and I do mean this. Like, I always consider myself a fighter advocate, because I've never fought, but I know how hard this sport is, and I know you have a very slim window. I know that's something Dana says all the time. You have a very slim window to kind of, to take advantage of this career, and you're in the prime of your career right now, and unfortunately, you're in a bad situation. So I really do hope, sincerely, Aaron, I hope this all works out for you. I think everyone got excited. We heard about the free agency, and immediately, of course, everyone's like, we want to see in the UFC. And then Dana comes out and says, yeah, we're interested in that guy. Again, you're probably like, here we go, it's about time. And now here we are once again. You're kind of stuck with a brick wall. So I hope this all works out for you. I hope the next time we speak, you got a fight booked and you're making your UFC debut and everything is good. But hopefully this all works out. It's just unfortunate this is happening right now through no fault of your own. I know, again, you wanted to fight, you were ready to fight, and unfortunately just didn't happen. But I guess we'll have to kind of see how this all plays out. And I know I read that Donn thing to you, like right on the air. You didn't know we were doing that, but hopefully he'll see this, and maybe the message gets across this way, because I sincerely hope this all goes away soon and you can just fight and get back to your business, which is fighting.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it is. It's all good. I'm gonna just stay positive and control what I can control. And like Greg always says, and I always repeat it to myself, it's part of the process. And in this game, this is part of the process. And I can control what I can control. And if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. God willing. They say God willing. If it maybe, we'll see. So
yeah.
But I appreciate your time, like I said, and hopefully the next conversation that we have is a different one. And we'll go from there.